Welcome to season 10 of the More Than Sunday podcast. In this season, which we've been calling Love Served Here, we've taken the show on the road to visit with some of your favorite local restaurants and have conversations with them about how they're building community around food. And in this episode, we sat down with the lovely Reed and Julie Robinson, who are co-owners of Beyond the Bar, which is a zero-proof bar and bottle shop right here in Richardson, Texas. Now, if you don't know exactly what zero proof means, it's okay. In this episode, they explain that and the difference between zero proof and non-alcoholic, which I didn't know before this episode started. And the other bonus to this episode is that they are going to teach us how to mix two non-alcoholic drinks, which were so delicious. I guarantee you're going to want to try to make them at home. So I hope you enjoy the conversation and learn a little bit about the unique community that they're creating at Beyond the Bar. Well, I'm really glad that y'all could make some time for us today to do this. I know it's y'all's day off and y'all probably had a busy weekend, but thanks for taking the time to just chat with us and share more about Beyond the Bar with us. So first of all, I just kind of want to know, I know this is fairly new business here in Richardson, kind of like where the inspiration or idea for this even came from.
I'll let you take the lead on that,
Oh,
Julie.
sure. Absolutely. Well, Reed and I owned bars before, and he had some health issues and decided to stop drinking. And I gradually slowed down and stopped drinking as well. But what we found was he could drink an alcohol-free beer in our bars. And people wouldn't ask him, why aren't you drinking?
Oh.
And so it was partially the social aspect of, hey, we're still part of things, partially for the taste, and partially for the feeling. Because if we're sharing a drink together, having a great conversation, what does it matter that mine is alcohol-free or zero proof versus yours? We're just having a moment together. And so that's kind of what sparked our interest in the alcohol-free and the zero proof world.
And so that was the summer of 2021. So yeah, I began to experience some health problems. I was definitely noticing, from drinking and otherwise. And after that point, I was like, I'm going to give up alcohol. It's not really going with my whole vibe anymore. And also, I thought it was really not very good for the family as well. It got to a point where, this is actually becoming a detriment to our family, my drinking. So it was a decision to stop and kind of reassess things. But I still love the social aspect of, sharing a cocktail with a friend. I like the ritual of it.
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting point and kind of inflection.
So then did you kind of, at that time when you're realizing I'm going to stop drinking, it's better for me to stop drinking.
Sure.
Did it make it hard to run the bars or be at the bars? And this was kind of a way of hey, I'm interested in this. I'm kind of pursuing this lifestyle and let me see what else is out there.
It really wasn't. And that's the ironic thing. I know a lot of people are around alcohol. And it's difficult for me. But honestly, once I made that decision and that choice, it really wasn't difficult. I think the most difficult aspect of it was the social piece where people are like, well, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? That was always an interesting dynamic that I kind of had to navigate. And that's where I started kind of enjoying more alcohol-free beers. And I already liked them and they were getting better at the time. And so at that point, it just became a natural
Yeah. Well, so as we
progression.
as we walked in, I saw so many things I just didn't know. So I wonder if that was a similar experience. I just didn't know. I knew that there was, like you mentioned, a non-alcoholic beer. And I feel like that's all. Otherwise, in my mind, it was you're just mixing juices and sodas and making it taste good. But then we walked in here and the bottles are beautiful. The bar is beautiful. And like you mentioned, this social aspect, I would love to just come and hang out here and have whatever is in those bottles. So a piece of, I guess, education, you've mentioned alcohol-free and zero proof. Now, is there a difference between the two?
Yes, there is a difference. So alcohol-free was initially distilled and made with alcohol, and then the alcohol is filtered out. So there remains 0.5% alcohol per volume. So comparatively, that's about the same amount of alcohol you get in a kombucha or an orange juice. So it's very, very low. Now, zero proof never had alcohol to begin with, but flavors are layered together in some cases to imitate the spirit. And I kind of like to call that the spirit of the spirit.
Mhm.
So it's similar. And some of the brands actually use things like capsaicin fruit, which is a relative of the bell pepper, and it gives you a little bit of a burn, but it doesn't taste like a bell pepper. Or they might use other sorts of peppers or peppercorn to give you the burn. And so it's definitely different from what most people consider a mocktail because it's a complex cocktail with spirit, bitters. We even have alcohol-free bitters. So you can savor it, and it's lower in sugar and lower in calories typically too. So
Yeah, but getting a complex cocktail is still like I said, there's that ritual to it that really brings kind of this social aspect, and we're going to make a drink for you in a minute. And we'll be doing that. So it's interesting how it's become a part of our lifestyle. And that's where it gets back to, you have Generation Z, you have Generation X, you have baby boomers, and we've kind of like tapped into this interesting market where they're all kind of coming together around this, this alcohol-free movement and this health and wellness movement. And I think I think Gen Z really is kind of the biggest part of that. They're really changing their attitudes towards mental health and towards what they put in their body. I think they've kind of have a little bit of an evolution of sorts. And it's interesting. We work with a lot of campuses. We actually have been doing some events with UTD, students for the Center for Students in Recovery. So, yeah.
It's fascinating to hear you say that a bunch of intergeneration, like it's intergenerational here, that people from different backgrounds, different ages and stages are meeting here. Because you're right, it's a social thing of getting together. You just
Right.
want to be with people, you want to be your friends, and there are lots of different ways to do that, working out together.
Sure.
And it has been in the past, like you just go to a bar, that's the way, whether you drink or not, like that's the place to mingle, to hang out. So I love that there's this other option. And I wonder, is that something that you maybe forecasted or predicted would happen? Or has that just been something that you've been observing as your business has been open here?
I think some of it was an evolution. I don't know that we really knew exactly what the reaction was going to be. We did a lot of traveling. We visited other places around the country and the world that were kind of moving more towards this alcohol-free movement on both coasts. Contacted some people in Europe where it's kind of growing a little bit faster and a little bit ahead. But I don't know that we forecasted that it would be such a social thing. And one of the things I found interesting is that it's also, interfaith. I mean, we have Muslims and Christians and Jewish people and all kinds of different faiths who also might not drink for for faith-based reasons or otherwise, and they also have a place to go. So that was what I think surprised me the most, is that we would be able to tap into this zeitgeist right now.
I love hearing that there are spaces in our community and here in Richardson where, intentional or not, people of different backgrounds and faiths have a place to hang out and get to know each other and become friends. This
Sure.
whole podcast season has just been about, how are we growing communities? Like we're a church, we do it the
Mhm.
way a church does it. And so to come here and say like, well, no, we've got community here. We've got friends that are growing, community that's growing here is wonderful to hear and fascinating. I want to know everything.
Sure. And so it's interesting, like the church has traditionally been, I don't know if traditionally is the word, but, a third space. And that's kind of a space where people meet for other reasons other than being at home or out. You probably know the definition better than I do, but we've kind of become a third space, and alternative to the bars or
well, I think what everybody has in common is they're all trying to be healthier, whether they're cutting down on drinking, whether they've never tried alcohol in their lives, whether they're expecting a child, or maybe they're taking a medication where they can no longer drink. It is something that brings everybody together. And And it's just really been kind of exciting to see this unfold. And just to be clear, we're not anti-alcohol by any way, shape, or form, but it's kind of a health choice. I view it almost as like being a vegetarian. It's just a choice that I've personally made for myself to be healthier. And we're just here to give people options, whatever reason. If they just want to switch out an alcohol-free drink and then have an alcohol drink, they can do it that way, or just to be able to let them socialize again with cocktails if they haven't been drinking for 10 years.
Well, so tell me more about that. Like I said, I walked in here and I knew nothing. So I'm so grateful to both of you for educating me on this and talking about a complex cocktail. And I know that you've got ingredients here. I
Yes.
recognize some things. Some things are brand new to me. I would love if you would explain kind of your process as you sit behind the bar and
Sure, sure. Shall I make a drink while
yeah,
I
that would
talk
be
about it?
wonderful.
Okay, perfect. Well, so the first cocktail I'm going to make for you is probably one of the most classic cocktails in the world, the old fashioned.
Okay.
And that's primarily with a whiskey base. And then we have simple sugar syrup as well as an orange bitter. Now, this is zero proof. This is alcohol free. And I even have cherries from Italy to add to our
Oh, my.
cocktail. So, and really the premise is the same. You're going to use the same, I'm using the same amount of ingredients that I would if I was making a cocktail with alcohol. So I'm using the same amounts. Nothing's different. But you know what's interesting is a lot of people don't know how to make cocktails. And so maybe they would always go to the bar. And that's one thing that we really saw, that there was an opportunity to teach people to be able to make cocktails for themselves at home and to be able to entertain their friends who didn't want to drink alcohol. And so that's why we founded Cocktail 101 class, where we teach how to make two different cocktails, typically one shaken and one stirred.
You mentioned before the ritual, and as I'm watching you make this, like there is a beautiful ritual to it of mixing the ingredients correctly, adding the little flourishes of flavor to your drink. I'm sure your classes are very popular. And is that something that you started when you opened Beyond the Bar with, or did you?
No, we
into that
didn't
one?
actually. We didn't, we kind of started on a whim in a way. We started doing pop-ups. This was back in January 18th of 2023.
Okay.
We had our first pop-up. We did
Cute.
them around town. And people were, our first one, we had like 200 people show up to this pop-up at alcohol-free event.
Well, not to interrupt, but
No.
it really was not a
You
whim.
just interrupted me, but that's okay.
Sorry.
We've been married for 20
We've been married
years.
for a long time.
So there it is.
It wasn't really a whim because we had some regular customers that would, come here. And of course, we make cocktails, alcohol free and zero proof. And they would always ask, how do you make that? What are you doing?
Okay.
And I would share, hey, this is how you do it. And I was very inspired by them and said, hey, I think there's a need for a cocktail class because a lot of people just don't know how to make these drinks.
Yeah.
And so that's why we started doing it.
But it wasn't in our original business plan.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So it sounds like you're adapting and you're growing based on the needs and based on the feedback from your community.
Right.
So what else has been kind of adapting as you've gone along?
I think really one thing that is fascinating, we've been working with recovery groups, including the Phoenix, they're a recovery activity group, and they do things all over the city. They do more active events, and we do what's called Sunday Silver Social here, Sunday afternoon after church. And so we have like different activities. We'll do like crafting, puzzle making, art things, painting, all kinds of stuff. And it's a way for people to come in and kind of socialize. If they want to have a zero proof cocktail, they can, but it's also like a place to kind of gather and enjoy a social time together.
And sober karaoke. We do that with them once a month, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not for the faint of heart, but you don't have to sing. You can just listen if you don't want to sing.
So that's been really cool working with some of these fantastic recovery groups. We work with UTD students, Center for Students in Recovery. We've done a few events with them. I'm so excited about that.
Mm.
It's something that I didn't expect and know was going to happen because I went through my own sobriety journey. So to be able to kind of like share that with other people has been so inspiring.
And ours, the musicians in recovery, we've done different things with them. So it's just been great to be able to bring people together, just to be able to see, hey, you're not alone, and you can still be fun. Even more so, actually, because you're more present when you're not drinking.
Your heart for the people, for the community is very evident, and grateful that y'all are part of it. And curious about what you might think is next. Are you going to continue to seek out people who want to come here to have an experience? Are you going to teach other places? Like, I don't know what the alcohol-free landscape looks like in our community.
Sure.
And so I don't know, like, is Beyond the Bar the only place that you can go to right now?
It's currently, we're the only alcohol-free third space bottle shop bar tasting room in the city, and we were the first to have a bottle shop in the city as well. Second in the state, I believe. There's a place in Houston and also in Austin who we're all friends with. There's very few of us out there, but we're kind of growing, and we're all kind of a network and friends. So we all kind of keep in touch with each other and kind of share ideas because it's a hard business too. I mean, the margins aren't the same as having a regular traditional bar or restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging, but also like it's amazing. And as far as doing more things in the community, worked with Meow Wolf last year for Dry January. We did cocktail tasting class and an entire event with them. We're going to be at the DMA coming up in November. We're working on an on-campus event with UTD coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's pretty cool. And we're just kind of going with the flow right now because the market is growing and the interest is continuing to grow.
Yeah, I like it. I want to try this.
Yeah.
Please do.
While we keep talking, I'm just so curious. Thank you. This is so delicious.
Oh, thank you.
And I really had no idea what to expect. And this is fantastic. And watching you make it, I want to try and make this too. I can see, like, I will definitely be coming back for one of your classes.
And not everything has to taste like alcohol. There were also botanicals. In fact, I was planning to make you a second little drink really quickly.
Yes.
We call this the blueberry moon shrub. So it's kind of our take on a botanical Moscow mule.
Okay. Yes. Tell me everything that you're doing, because I know some people watch this as a podcast and some people listen. So tell us what you're doing, and we'll make everyone curious and want to watch the episode if they're just listening.
So I'm using a botanical by Amethyst. It's blueberry ginger mint. It has 0 sugar and it tastes amazing. So I'm adding about 1.5 ounces per cocktail. And the next ingredient is... This is a elderberry shrub by Sweets Elderberry Shrub. So I'm adding about 3/4 ounce.
What is a shrub exactly, Julie?
Yeah. It's a healthier. It's healthier than a simple sugar syrup. So basically, it has apple cider vinegar, different types of ingredients. And then I added a little bit of lime juice, about 1/2 ounce per cocktail.
I love that sound.
It's a great sound.
It is.
Good for Foley. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now we are going to top off with some ginger beer.
And it's so pretty. It's like a pretty color.
Thank you. It actually tastes blue.
Tastes blue.
It smells blue too.
It does. It's so
Oh my
delicious. It's one of my
Look at the
favorite
aroma right now.
drinks.
Okay, number 2 coming up.
All right. Now tell me what this was called again.
It's the blueberry moon shrub.
Blueberry moon shrub. And you said it tastes blue.
Yes.
Wow, I love that ginger beer bubbling.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
These are fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what I thought I would be drinking today. In my mind, I came in, I was like, I don't know how you make a non-alcoholic beverage that isn't just sweet and sugary. These are so complex and wonderful. And I know that there are people out there, like you mentioned, for
Sure.
health reasons or just, I don't need to drink alcohol, or I don't want to drink alcohol, that this is such a wonderful option for not only having a great tasting drink, but then the community that you've spoken so beautifully about. Like, I think everybody is looking for that place, that third space, that community that they can walk into and feel like they belong and that they're home. And it sounds like you both have created such a lovely space here for that community to grow and flourish.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
funny because a lot of people, when they come to our space, they ask if this used to be a home,
Mm-hmm.
because we really tried to make it feel cozy and intimate.
So, in fact, this building is in downtown Richardson, right off of Beltline in Sherman. It was built in 1958, and it started its life as the Chamber of Commerce for the city of Richardson back in the late 50s. Through the years, it's been a lot of things. Apparently, it was a recording studio called Paradise Studio in the 60s and 70s. I know there was a chiropractor here. I had a family that came in and they said their dad had his business here. There's a lawyer, a son of, they said his dad had a practice here, and an accountant as well. So there's been a lot of things in this building over the years. So there's a lot of interesting tales and stories being right here in downtown Richardson. But it's a cool building.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a cool building. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I didn't know if we would start this episode on time because there's just so many beautiful things to look at. And Julia told you, is this your eye? Did you curate this space? And it's gorgeous. Everything in here is beautiful. It fits the theme, the vibe of even the front of the building, kind of that retro feel. But
Right.
you're right. It feels cozy. It feels like a home. It feels like this isn't sterile and I just walked in and you want me to buy something and leave. You want me to hang out here and spend time
Absolutely.
here. And I love that. I love that feeling.
Oh,
For
thank
sure.
you. That's
For
definitely
sure.
what we were going for.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I would say that this business is, there's probably more women that attend and come to our shop, but I've been noticing an uptick in men who have been coming in. They're coming in for alternatives as well, you know. So there's always been this kind of masculine bourbon drinking guys kind of thing going
Listen,
on.
this will compete.
This
This will
with that,
compete.
right? So there's, you know, I think as attitudes change. I'm seeing more and more dads come in and men come in and are kind of like, hey, I've been hearing about this. I kind of want to like change my, you know, health, might change my diet, but I still love to have a great cocktail. So that's been a lot of fun to see that kind of evolution. And that's really, I've noticed that in the last 6 to 8 months, honestly,
Absolutely.
you know, so.
And we even had a couple that came that lives in a assisted living, you know, and they're like, hey, we can't have, you know, alcohol anymore, but we still love our cocktail hours.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, hey, I can help you. No, but it was fun because she's like, oh my gosh. And I made her a Moscow Mule. And she's like, this is so good. I love this. And it just, to see her face light up that she could have a Moscow Mule again and she could socialize with her friends. And it was just cool.
I love this. I could sit here and talk to y'all and pull out all these stories all day long. This is so great. I could see why people come here and just want to hang out.
Awesome.
But I'm blown away by all of the stuff here. And I cannot wait to come back and just enjoy this and socialize and try even more drinks and definitely come to a class because I want to learn how to make at least both of these drinks.
Awesome. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you're curious and want to check out the cool community at Beyond the Bar, we hope you check out their hours and more information about when they're open at our website, fumcr.com/morethansunday. Thanks again for listening. We hope you join us again next Wednesday for a new episode of the season as we continue with our theme of Love Served Here. I hope you have a great day.